Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, an arrest warrant for Senator Antonio Trillanes.
Yan po talagang proseso, no? And I'm happy that Senator Trillianes is complying with the process, no?
Sabi nga ng mga kababayan natin, ang problema ngayon yung ekonomiya, yung hirap ng buhay, pero na-obsess siya sa akin eh. Kailangan niya ako iligpit, ganon.
With opposition groups calling it an abuse of presidential powers.
Walang patas na laban eh. Sa kanila lahat ang ahensya ng gobyerno.
Ang isang amnesty kasi ay dumaan sa Senado at sa Kongreso at ito'y naaprubahan. At hindi lang naman siyang nabigyan ng amnesty.
Alam naman natin na talagang matindi ang panggigipit sa kanya. Questionable itong naging pag-revoke ng amnestiya.
Also, a Red October plot to oust the president.
We are confident that we enjoy overwhelming support from the people.
And a drop on the president's trust and approval ratings. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque joins us live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. Senator Antonio Trillanes returns to the Senate after posting bail at the Makati Regional Trial Court, Branch 150. The court on Tuesday issued an arrest warrant and a whole departure order against the senator weeks after the president nullified the amnesty granted to him. Also, President Rodrigo Duterte experiences a drop in his approval and trust ratings, and we get to know the truth behind the so-called Red October plot to oust him. Let's go straight to the source of the story, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. Secretary, welcome to the show. Good to see you again, sir.
It's always a pleasure, Pinky.
So Senator Trillanes visibly dismayed over yesterday's arrest order by Branch 150 of the Makati RTC. Secretary, he's saying that the judiciary gave in to pressure from a dictator president.
Well, I think it's very clear that the Philippine judiciary has a reputation for being independent and competent. And secondly, there's no dictator around because he was democratically elected by the people in an election whose results are not disputed, no, except for the vice presidency. No? So let's stick to the facts. No? A dictator is a commentary on the part of someone from the opposition, but the fact that he himself recognizes him as a duly elected president belies his claim of any dictatorship.
Would you submit, though, that there could possibly be some sort of influence or pressure on the judiciary when you have a president definitely angry at this particular senator, when you have the Sol Gen investigating this particular senator, Senator Trillanes, sir?
I will dispute that because the issue as far as Senator Trillanes is very simple. Did you or did you not file an application from Amnesty? And here the relevance of the form itself is the form itself contains the acknowledgement of guilt, which is a prerequisite if you want to benefit from an act of liberality to be given by the state. And because he himself could not show a copy of his duly received application, and neither does a DND have a copy, then the conclusion is he must have been given the amnesty in a silver platter by a president that then supported him. No? So I don't think it's disputed that he got the amnesty. The issue now is, did he comply with the process prescribed by law in granting an amnesty?
How can you get a certificate if you did not comply with the process, sir?
Well, that's why everything would have been solved if he only presented his own copy of his application duly received. And don't tell me you did not keep that on file. No? It's equally important as your birth certificate, your marriage contract, because you're talking of two capital offenses, no, for which the consequences could be extinguished by the filing of that very same form. No? He's got lawyers, he's got a wife who must know what documents are important, he's got an office, for crying out loud. He was already a senator at that time. So it's not as if he is expected personally to keep a copy of his duly received application form for amnesty.
But
that's the only issue.
But it's also the DND that's supposed to have a copy of that.
Well, the thing is, if it was filed, the DND should have a copy.
Yeah. So,
the fact that the DND doesn't have it and he can't produce his own copy means he must not have filed. And what the court gave credence is his interview, that he was not admitting to his guilt. So that's very clear. And it was duly authenticated by the reporter and the cameraman who took him on tape. No? So that means really there was really an element lacking, and that was the
May kulang.
open acknowledgement of guilt, which is probably why he never filed the application to begin with.
But, Secretary, you mentioned that we would have a copy of our birth certificate, or if you're married, a marriage certificate. Excuse me. But there's also that flip side, the other argument, sir, that if you were to apply, for example, let's talk about this, for a passport. You apply, you submit the documents to the DFA. Eventually, sir, you get your passport and you go to the airport, you present your passport. They're not going to say, where's the document to prove that you applied for this passport? Because
There is a document.
Yes, but
There's an acknowledgement number.
yeah, but
you know?
here's the thing, sir. What they're saying is that you do not keep the application. You actually submit that application to the DFA.
That's not true. There's always a duplicate copy given or an acknowledgement receipt. You always have a document proving that you filed something. And that's all that the court wants from him. And it's as simple as producing the document. I dare say he's not able to produce it because it doesn't exist.
So you mean even if we apply for a passport, we're supposed to have that application, sir?
Well, Pinky.
I ask you that, sir, because to be frank with you, I don't think I ever had a document of my application. I'm not
Pinky,
sure,
An application for amnesty that could extinguish your liability for 2 life sentences is not the same as a passport.
So
Come on.
then there is where you put the difference.
That's why he was even assisted by counsels, no? So I find it hard to believe because, I'm a practicing lawyer. There ought to be a file there, Trillianes filing of amnesty, because in that file should also be a copy of whatever happened after the filing of the application, no? So the point is, there is an interview that he gave saying he refuses to acknowledge his guilt, and coupled with the fact that neither the DND nor he can produce a copy of the application, gave the court the reasonable conclusion that he probably never filed the application.
There is another case pending before a motion before the Branch 148, sir. This is a coup d'etat case. Let's set aside first this rebellion case because he already posted 200,000 peso bail on this. There's another one, possibly a coup d'etat case that, if granted, the urgent motion, sir, it's a non-bailable offense. So that means, sir, if the judge issues an arrest warrant, the senator, diretso na po yan sa kulungan because he cannot post bail.
That would be a good conclusion, a reasonable conclusion.
Meron pa ho ba yung, or they can still go through the motions of guilt is not that strong, kaya posibleng i-bail.
Hindi po.
I-issue siya ng bail, sir?
Hindi po, because
No.
we're talking about a case that was then pending that was only dismissed because of an alleged amnesty given to him. No? So in fact, if my memory serves me right, they were already at the point where the court was ready to promulgate its decision on guilt or not, or innocence. No? So there is no need for another determination of probable cause. I think what Judge Almeida did in 150 is the correct course of action. This is the same case that has been pending. It will have to be continued given that there was a determination that the grant of amnesty was void ab initio.
And the point of double jeopardy, please explain that to us. Of course, you are a lawyer, but you are the presidential spokesperson. Kasi sinasabi ng iba, of course, you can't be tried for the same offense. However, there's also that argument na hindi naman po siya na desisyonan. There was no resolution granted on this.
Wala pa pong desisyon. Now, ang double jeopardy po yan, mag-a-attach lamang kung meron nang nagkaroon ng desisyon na meron siyang pagkakasala o wala.
Guilty or not guilty.
Wala pa pong ganyan. This was dismissed upon the motion of the accused and therefore wala pong double jeopardy.
Secretary, let me bring in a statement made by Senator Grace Poe, who's topping the senatorial race. No? She's saying that papaano naman lahat ng mga amnesty na nabigay sa lahat ng mga tao in the past. Let's listen to a statement made by Senator Grace Poe.
Hindi lang naman siyang nabigyan ng amnesty. Maraming nabigyan ng amnesty. So kung questionin yung kanya, lahat yun malalagay sa peligro. At mawawala ng visa ang amnestiya na ibibigay ng gobyerno sa mga darating na panahon. So paano magkakaroon ng tiwala?
Care to react, sir?
I would wish she goes to law school, no? Because she will find out that, the act of amnesty is the ultimate act of liberality on the part of the state. Least you can do is to comply with the requirements. Now, why is he being singled out? There is, in fact, what is known as equal protection of the law, no? That persons similarly situated must be treated in the same manner, no? But there's also what is known as the reasonable basis, no? As an exception to the equal protection clause. And I dare say that the fact that he is the acknowledged leader of the Magdalo mutineers, no, is a reasonable basis for singling Trillianes out. No?
Because he's the leader.
Because
That's what you're saying. That's
In
what you're
effect,
saying.
what we're sending, the message the government is sending is, it's enough that we punish the leaders. We will not bother with the rank and file, but it's important to hold the leader accountable for his past
Is
acts.
that the stand of Malacanang, sir?
Well, I think so, no? That's why he's been singled out, no? Not singled out, but the process has been limited to him because it's just important to send a message that you must comply with the requirements set by law, especially when you're an elected official of the land, no?
What about Nicanor Faldon, sir?
Well, I don't know about whether or not Nicanor Faldon has a copy of his application form duly received. We don't know that.
Yeah.
The fact remains that it is only Senator Sonny Trillanes who is unable to show a copy of his application form.
Here's the thing, Secretary, do the others who applied for an amnesty and was granted an amnesty, must they have, I guess it's the question, must they have the copy of their application form so that they know for sure that they won't go back to a possible trial or go back to jail?
When questioned, they better have a copy of their application form.
When questioned. So if the Solgen, if government does not question any one of them, they're fine.
That's the
They're
status
safe?
of the law, yes. Unless questioned, it remains valid.
Sir, what about political persecution? Some are saying na talagang sinisingle out number one, hindi tinatantanan si Senator Antonio Trillanes, lahat daw ng mga kaaway ng Pangulo ay iniisa-isa.
Naku naman. I have, my office maintains, what they call this, we measure the amount of airtime and the amount of news that he gets. He gets 80%, we get 30% by way of reply. That's not persecution. He loves it, no, because he's now in the limelight. No? This is not political persecution. This is a political gift for him, no, because we've given him the limelight. No? So I don't think anyone can complain about persecution, especially since it went through the correct process, it was decided by the courts, and no one can dispute the integrity and independence of the courts in the Philippines.
Would you be very disappointed, hypothetically, if Branch 148 does not issue an arrest warrant against the senator, sir?
The President has said that we would defer to the decision of the RTC, and we would have accepted the decision of the RTC, subject, of course, to any remedies under the existing rules of court, no? Because there could be a further appeal on the issue of whether or not the amnesty was validly revoked.
But, Secretary, does the President want him detained or jailed?
He wants to implement the law. And if, as a consequence of it, he will be detained, so be it. That is the power and the duty of the President.
Would you rather have the senator detained as well?
Well, if the law says that you must comply, because we have to send the message that regardless of who you are, you have to comply with what the law says.
This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Still to come, a plot to oust the president in October. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque will still be with us after the break. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. Sir, rating of the president is down from the latest Pulse Asia survey. Approval rating at 75%, down from 88%. That's a 13-point drop. And trust rating down to 72% from 87%. Also a 15-point drop. Is this something that should concern Malacanang?
Well, let's just say the president does not govern by reason of survey results. Yes, there was a drop, but it's still a very good mark from the people. No? We can't deny that the rising cost of goods and services may be behind the decline in the survey results. But the message that we're sending is we're doing everything that we can. The root cause of the problem as far as inflation is concerned is the increase in the cost of oil and gas in the international world market. No? But having said that, we've taken big leaps in ensuring that at least the people will have cheaper food items. No? Just yesterday, I made public 4 executive issuances, no? All of which are intended to facilitate the entry of imported food items directly to the market, no? With no hindrances, whether be it tariff or non-tariff related. We will now issue what is known as food passes, and this will be shown to any law enforcement agent. This is basically a guarantee that deliveries of food items intended for our markets will not be stopped for any reason. No? It is now deemed to be very very urgent that imported food items reach the market so that prices of items at least should go down.
Well, you mentioned about inflation. There are two incidents when this survey was taken. One was the inflation was at 6.4%, sir, and the other one was a proclamation of the president on 5/7 to the amnesty, revoking the amnesty. Well, hindi nga revoke. Ab initio.
Declaring it as
Declaring
void,
it
ab initio.
void, yes, ab initio, the amnesty of Senator Antonio Trillanes. Do you think that that could have possibly affected also the trust and approval rating of the president? Because again, there were two big stories that time.
Well, we don't really consider Senator Trillianes as a major hindrance to governance. No, he is a minor legal issue that's being addressed by a few lawyers. No, but we do concede that when it comes to rice and food items, that affects everyone. Trillianes is just political talk. He's a minor footnote. He doesn't even have another term in the Senate.
Yeah,
no?
he ends it.
He's about to end his political career in a few
2019.
months. No, so it's no big deal as far as the administration is concerned. However, the president did take an oath to enforce the laws, and that's what he's doing. But that is why we're focused on inflation. The economic cluster has been very busy formulating policies, and now we have reached the point when we're implementing it. No? Now, I'd like to underscore that even before the release of the executive issuances, no, we've taken steps, bold steps at that, no, to reduce the prices of commodities. We have allowed the importation of even fish products, rice, chicken, and pork.
And distribution of rice at 4 million sacks.
Yes,
Okay.
and we have also now provided rolling stores so that we cut the role of traders. We're now directly linking farmers with the buyers.
Consumers.
We're using Air Force planes to bring in vegetables from Mindanao because we know that the recent
Yeah,
typhoon...
but how long can you do this?
Well, we're hoping that we don't have to do this for a long time. No? For instance, as far as rice is concerned, when the imports come, and we've imported very large volumes, no? Because of loss of supply and demand, even if there are hoarders, it will have to go down. No? And the best news, of course, is that even the DTI now has undertaken the task of importing rice, not just the
Yes.
NFA. And they're importing the kind of rice that is lacking in the market now, which is at 27 pesos per kilo.
Which
rice.
is the NFA rice that you see out there. Sir, you're talking about NFA Jason Aquino. Is he still in or is he out?
I
What
know
is
he's
this?
out because I was there when the president had that, I don't know how to pronounce it,
Tete-a-tete?
that conversation
But you-
with Presidential Legal Counsel. And the president said he's accepted his resignation.
Yeah.
No? So he's out.
But he attended a meeting recently.
I'm
sir?
so surprised because I got a complaint that he was again objecting to the importation by PITC, no? And I was saying, why is he still there? I think it was clear from the president's mouth himself that he has accepted the resignation of Jason Aquino. And that is why in another press briefing, I said there will be no vacuum in the leadership because there's always a deputy administration to take over where the administrator's post is vacant. No? So, and then Senator Villar, I saw her last night in Iloilo. No? She also called up Malacanang when they were discussing a privileged speech given by Senator Ontiveros. And
Yeah.
Malacanang did say that he was out.
So is he out?
I believe so because I heard the president say that he's accepted the resignation.
Yeah, he accepted the resignation, but then he attended a meeting very recently. So
Well, I think it's just courtesy. People should have said what they're doing here.
do you think, I guess, would you say that he's on his way out? Maybe.
I think he is out.
Okay.
And I think it is because even if the president may be fond of him for whatever reason, the president knows that this rice crisis could have been prevented had NFA done its job. NFA should have bought rice because it had the funds to do so. At the time, it should have bought rice harvest season. It did not, which prompted then NFA to import because without any rice buffet, of course, you will not have rice available for the people.
Now, but here's an issue of about 2 billion tara. We're talking about tara not at the Bureau of Customs, but at the NFA. Senator Risa Ontiveros was here yesterday, and she had a privileged speech the day before regarding this. Let's just listen to a portion of the privileged speech of Senator Risa Ontiveros.
I believe this is very credible. We binangga namin itong information from rice traders and from some insiders in the National Food Authority. At the very least, in the past 2 years, 4 billion pesos. And that's just for the main tara, not to speak yet of other fees for other modus operandi and the service fee that for the first time in NFA's history, he alone levied.
We're talking about 2 billion. She's talking about 2 billion pesos a year, Secretary.
I hope she's able to prove her allegations, but knowing Senator Risa Ontiveros, I doubt if she can. Remember,
Why is
she's
that?
this is for political grandstanding. What I have said is the liability of NFA is based on a COA report already, not just speculation, something that need not be proven anymore because COA has actually proven it. He did not purchase rice when he had the funds to do so at the time he was supposed to do so. Of course, because he did not have the rice supply, he has had to import. Now, all I know now is, according to Nobel Prize awardee Gunnar Myrdal, when you have discretion, that's when you have corruption. And of course, there's so much discretion in the NFA itself, not only on the amount of importation, but on who will import and where to buy. You know, this government to government worries me a lot because there's absolutely no transparency in government-to-government transactions. There's absolute discretion on the part of the NFA administrator, and I'm worried, therefore, that as the Nobel Prize awardee has said, there may be corruption in that process. But that's different from making a concrete allegation. I am not able to allege the same things as Senator Ontiveros has said in the Senate, although I have heard the same things because I can't back it up. And unless I can back it up with actual evidence, we should not make these allegations. But for purposes of liability, there's enough to hold Jason Aquino liable not only for technical malversation, but also for graft, because his inaction, his failure to import at the time when he should have, resulted in damage to the public.
Is that graft?
That's graft.
When you
Causing
did not
damage to
purchase?
third parties or to the government is graft.
Did you hear about this tara of 100 peso per sack, sir?
I have, but we can't prove it, so I can't make the allegation.
So you're really just counting on the kind of solid evidence you have, for example, coming from the COA, as you mentioned a while ago.
I think that's what responsible government officials should do.
All right. So, again, you said that he could possibly be liable for, again, graft, technical malversation, and is there another one?
That's it.
All right.
But that's serious enough. Technical malversation, remember, that's the case on DAP, and that's like a slap on the wrist. That's why you need to couple it with graft.
All right.
So
Okay.
that the prison term would at least be 10 to 12
So,
years.
why is the president keeping him, sir?
He's not kept him. He said he's out. So that's wrong.
But remember, Secretary, remember, the president did not say, I want him out. He said that Jason Aquino intimated that he wanted out. Hindi ho ba? Yun ang sinabi ni Presidente.
And he said he will let him go. He's let him go, no? But, you know, the president, as I said, no, may like
You said
Jason.
he's fond of him. Why is the president fond of Jason Aquino then? Do you
Well,
know?
I've heard him say that someone who is able to risk life and limb, no, for the country deserves respect, no?
see.
And
Okay.
that's why he has a preference for appointing former military officials, no? Not only for their nationalism, but also because of their obedience, no? But I think in this instance, he knows that the kind of crisis we are in right now as far as rights would not have happened if NFA and Jason Aquino did his job.
Red October, how solid is this, sir? Of course, intel report already coming from the AFP and confirming this. You said that the people still, the president rather has the support of the public, but you said that maybe 2 days ago, and then subsequently was the 13 to 15-point drop in his trust and approval rating. Do you still feel the same way, sir?
Let me put it this way. I have 100% trust in the intelligence information of the military. However, I also am sure 100% that this plot will not succeed because of the overwhelming support given to the president by the people when he was elected as president and when he is now ruling as president.
Okay, you are going to run for senator?
I'm not sure. I have no decision. I would be hypocritical if I were to say I don't want to, because in the 16 months that I have served in Congress, I think I have the most number of bills of national significance. We're talking of the free lunch program for children. We're talking of the free irrigation for farmers, and even the universal health care, which I had passed a year ago and which is still pending in the Senate. No? So comparing it with my stint as spokesperson, I think the passage of important policies that can make an immediate difference to the lives of the people is far more important than speaking for the president. However, it's really an issue of resources.
Pera.
pera.
Yun ho talaga. I mean, let's be honest here.
Let's be
you
honest.
need to spend so much
Oo,
money.
Hindi po ako anak ng senador, hindi ako anak ng politiko, hindi ako anak mayaman. I'm an ordinary person. And like every ordinary person, napakahirap po na magnais na tumakbo para sa Senado.
All right. Meron po tayong, well, we have the news just in. We were talking about it before we went on air, sir. The Presidential Electoral Tribunal, or the PET, sided with Vice President Leni Robredo's plea to use the Commission on Elections ballot shading threshold of what we're talking about is a 25% threshold during the last elections. Can we get a reaction from you on this, sir?
None, because the president is not a party to the election protest. And that's a decision of the PET, so be it.
And you respect the
Of course.
decision of the PET?
We will implement the decision of the PET, and that is why we let the PET do its job.
All right. So, that's it. Just isingit ko lang to. I hope this is okay, sir. Are you concerned dahil doon sa latest Pulse Asia survey, hindi ho kayo pasok sa top 12?
Hindi po. As I said, hindi nga po ako nagugulat dyan dahil lahat po nung pumapasok, anak-anak ng mga sikat. At talaga
Hindi ka pa ba sikat, sir?
Ay, hindi po. Hindi po ako sikat. Hindi po ako anak ng senador. Hindi po ako anak ng politiko. Ako po dating profesor sa UP, abogado na nagpa-file ng kaso sa mga inaapi. Pero parang hindi po ganun ang gusto na taong bayan para maging senador.
When do you think you'll make a decision, sir?
It has to be before end
The filing of the
Yeah.
candidacy. But percentage-wise, are you still 50-50 or more so on the you will run?
I'm still 50-50 dahil tingin ko naman in terms of legislative output, no senator can tell me that they have a better output than my 16 months in Congress, and that's the truth.
Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque, sir, maraming salamat po sa inyo. As always, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Today marks the second anniversary of The Source, and we would like to thank you, our viewers, both online and on television, for supporting our show. We'd also like to thank our guest, Secretary.
My pleasure
who's
to be here. Happy
always
anniversary.
here,
Yeah.
who are making time for us to discuss the most pressing issues that matter most to Filipinos. And rest assured that we will continue to provide in-depth discussions with today's newsmakers. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
See you on your 20th.